Long gone are the days of Magic the Gathering set releases dropping on our heads and tanking and crashing in value. Heck, sets coming out and going to really low prices for box and everything going to zero is far in the rear view mirror, if you catch my drift. Or is it? Aetherdrift prices are falling fairly steadily. I want to talk about the Aetherdrift products and some of the single cards on the secondary market today, talk about what's happening with their prices, what the prices are, and where I think they're going, and most importantly, what I think this means for the set's long-term future. All of that and more in today's video, and you like conversations like this and everything we do here on the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, because it helps a small channel like mine more than you can possibly imagine. Alright, let's start our engines. Rev it up. Other card jokes. Listen, prices are falling, it's not time to be funny. As I said to start this video, we are not talking about the days of a set coming out and prices truly tanking. I know I used that a bit hyperbolically and we were having some fun in the intro, but I don't think we are going to see, at least in the sets in 2025, a set come out and prices just truly crater into the ground. But Aetherdrift has not exactly been pumping, and as far as the boxes that are selling on TCG Player, we are seeing some interesting information. And if you don't know, what we do here is we collect every single sold listing of sealed product for major trading card game releases on TCG Player. We aggregate that data and we look at the history of our favorite cardboard card games and get to the bottom of what's going on the secondary market. You can view all that information at cardboardfinance.com, and it's supported almost exclusively by the channel members here, so I don't have to pay those server costs out of my pocket. You click the join button down below, you get a bunch of cool stuff, and it helps support everything we do. But the numbers are pretty interesting when it comes to Aetherdrift, and as I didn't want to sit in front of a computer today, I have my handy dandy trusty dusty notebook that's telling me we have over 13,000 boxes sold between collector play commander decks and, yes, the finish line crazy first place foil bundle. And while this is fairly middle of the road for a normal release, it's lower than what I would have expected. Listen, for every single release, we always collect information for the play booster box, used to be the draft and set booster box, the collector booster box, and of course commander decks. And this is normally a pretty good indicator of how many people are going out of their way to seek out the product. These sales numbers are not indicative of the total number of Magic boxes or any TCG sold in the United States, but what it is indicative of is how well a set sells against its peers on the exact same platform. And when compared to other recent releases, well, it's no surprise Aetherdrift falls a bit behind, but that's kind of to be expected. We didn't expect to see Bloomburrow or Duskmourn numbers, but we did expect to see a little bit better than Karlov Manor, and we are on pace to be a better set than Karlov Manor, although maybe I'll link a video, maybe I'll do one later this week. Karlov Manor might be one of the most underrated sets when it comes to value and cards in the box. I'm really excited about the future of that product. But I digress. We're talking about Aetherdrift today, and it all is around the Play Booster Box, which is currently retailing for between $108 to $110, and we've recorded over 4,000, almost 4,500 sold listings between the Play Booster Box and the Play Booster Box case. And in my opinion, this is wildly healthy. I love the fact that the Play Booster Box is leading the way. It shows us that the backbone of Magic the Gathering is still what it is, and the lower price is not necessarily only indicative of a bad set in a market crash, but remember, this is the booster box that is supposed to be cheaper. There's only 30 packs in here. There is not 36. Wizards of the Coast took out some packs, left the same price per pack as far as the suggested retail price, and that is why we're able to get our hands on play boxes for a bit less money. Mind you, we're getting 6 less packs, but all in all, I think it's helping sell the box because more people are saying, hey, I have a little bit less. I have, about $100 in my pocket right now that I want to spend. I feel comfortable spending $100, maybe a little more in 2025 for a sealed booster box. I can get that with Aetherdrift, even if the theme, maybe isn't for me. We're going to talk more about the theme here in a little bit, but some more numbers just really quickly. Commander deck sets coming in number 2. That is to be expected. It shows me again, Magic is about the play, and Commander deck sets, even when they don't have 4 decks, are still wildly popular. You get to have a little taste of the set, experience of Aetherdrift, all in a nice little package. They've sold almost 2,000 deck sets, followed closely by the Collector Booster Box at almost 1,300 sales, a little bit lower than I would have expected as we dig into booster box value. Those are going for like $235 to $245 before shipping, taxes, fees, all that fun stuff, so probably around $260 out the door when you consider everything. And then finally the Finish Line bundle, the surprise of all surprises, only about 1,000 sold, and it's roughly $90 to $95 currently on the secondary market. Now, the reason these numbers shock me is I would have sworn that the Finish Line bundle would be more popular. Heck, looking back in the past at things like Duskmourn and things like Phyrexia All Will Be One, where we had specialized bundles, these bundles were flying off the shelf. And Phyrexia All Will Be One is probably an exception to the rule, as it was the first one. Even the Nightmare bundle was extremely popular. I expected to see a higher sell-through rate, but I think most of this can be attributed to the fact that we, as a community, have been turned on to the bundles for a little while. We're aware that they're coming out, we're aware they're special, and they should be limited in number, and for that reason, the prices are higher right out of the gate. There's less chance to get some at super cheap value and, feel like you get your money's worth as a fan like you and I. And these are all important figures. I think the sealed boxes for Aetherdrift are probably right about where they should be. The collector might be a little bit lower than I thought, but it's, common knowledge that a TCG releases and the prices go down. But I'm pleasantly surprised by the number of play boxes sold. And I say this because I'm not super high on the play booster box as a pack cracking experience. And whether you like it or hate it, the set booster box was exactly that, and it proved to be that on the secondary market. For all of the sets that we tracked with set booster box, the set booster box almost always led the way. It was the most affordable way to get cards in your hand and have the pack cracking fun from a sealed box perspective, and the community took to that. And I know all of you out there are a buy singles community, and I get that. And I've had a conversation with someone in the Discord that I'll link below right now that, yeah, when it comes to certain sets, I often just buy singles because there's no argument for me. It is the most affordable way to engage with a Magic the Gathering release. However, there is something to be said of the fun that comes with cracking a fresh box of a brand new set. And whether we like it or not, the community seems to love it. So the play booster box being number one, being this far on the head, while it's not surprising, it is good to see. I love the commander decks where they are, but long term, I don't know if the play booster box is going to hold much value. Most of the time when we see these play booster boxes head on this downward slope that we're seeing, again, i.e. Karlov Manor was a set that had tons of value in the play booster box, but people didn't take to it. It continued to go low, and stores were willing to get off the box for almost at cost to get themselves ready for the next set. I think we might see some of that in the future, and the collector booster box is an interesting enigma. The collector booster box has some fun stuff in it. You have some lottery tickets, you have some potential at really wildly expensive cards, sometimes up to as much as 2,500, 15 to 2,500 when it comes to the serialized Aetherspark. More on that here in a little bit. But the single cards in this set seem to be, let's just call it healthy and good. Now, that doesn't always make for a good Magic the Gathering set. Let's take things like Streets of New Capenna and Dominaria United, some of my favorite sets to reference when we talk about good cards. Heck, we talk about Karlov Manor just recently. There are some powerhouses in these products. There's Diglands, there's Leylines, there's Ledger Shredders, Triumphs. There's tons of stuff in these old products that are wildly playable, and if you sit down and play a game of Commander, odds are you're coming across one or more of these cards one after another. That doesn't mean that the set's held value, and I wonder if we're going to see a bit of that with Aetherdrift here. We know the most popular cards are stuff like, we've got Commander staples in there, new Commander staples, we've got some cool singles, but the uncommon slot is wildly popular for the set. Heck, the uncommon slot is doing work as far as play is concerned and most purchase is concerned, and because of this, I don't know if it's going to juice much value into the set regardless of how good the cards are. You couple that with the fact that one of the other most playable cards is the Land Cycle, which comes at rare and doesn't come at a ton of value on the secondary market, where your Verges in this set are selling for anywhere between $5 to $10, before shipping fees and all that fun stuff. You kind of put yourself into a really weird spot where it's like, hey, there's really playable, fun stuff in these boxes. When I open the box, I'm going to have a lot of use for the cards, but that doesn't necessarily attach a ton of monetary value, especially when it comes to opening the play booster box. But when it comes to other important staples, I do want to mention the Aetherspark and the Radiant Lotus, the big hits that we were talking about. The Aetherspark has, well, held up better than I would have ever expected. I think a base copy is around $25 to $30 right now, and with as playable as that card has seemed, or a lack thereof, as far as formats that aren't Commander, I maybe expect that to come down, but it is the iconic card in the set, so heck, maybe there's just some love there. And the Lotus has come down to a more reasonable 10 to 15, I think it's like $13 for a base copy, which kind of passes my smell test. It's a card that can pop off in Commander decks where it's good, but it's not just an auto-include in every single strategy, and all of these numbers, they seem to make sense to me. But the numbers that don't make sense are all about those gold foil box topper packs, and those gold foil box topper packs can have heavy, crazy swings. We wanted to touch a little bit about the value of collector boosters, and I said this in my introduction to Aetherdrift video and my initial thoughts. I think a lot of the value between the first place bundle and the collector booster box is going to be based on these box toppers. Now, in the sense of the collector booster box, there's a lot of value that can be tied to the crazy, the full art fractured foil Japanese anime art cards that, some are going for several $100s, some are, 50, 80 and above, things like that. There's a lot of value there, but I expected more out of the gold foils in the box topper. And just to say, the elephant in the room, and if you stuck around this long, you maybe get a little tip, because when I go to MagicCon this weekend, by the way, I'm going to be at MagicCon Chicago. If you're there, come say hi. I'm really, really tall. You cannot miss me. I'm super loud. Don't be afraid. Come up, say hi. I like the channel. Say I hate the channel. You're wrong. You're right. Whatever it is, I'll be happy to see anyone out there. And I'm bringing a Commander deck. This is like the second Commander deck I've ever built. I'm pretty excited about it. But the tip is, what I'll be looking to buy at MagicCon Chicago is the driver perspective gold lands from the box toppers. These are currently all under $1 a piece. And I think having a set of draft lands, 10, 15, 20 of each of these lands, that anytime I want to play Magic, I can choose to use these lands, is a really cool thing to buy. And buying a whole set of lands for $100, I know it's steep, it's $1 land, it's more expensive, but they seem really cool. They look super unique, and whether this treatment is for you or against you, it's something you're not going to see every single day on the table. For that opportunity, it's how I felt about gilded foils. For that opportunity to stand out, have something that I love to see, have something that, pops a little bit, is worth the $1 that I'm going to pay. This is not investment advice. None of this is financial advice. This is just what I'm going to be searching to buy at MagicCon Chicago. And who knows, maybe bring some cash, get an in-person deal, and get them a little bit cheaper. But I really thought these box toppers were going to be far more impactful than they were. And don't get me wrong, if you hit a big hitter in the box topper, you are happy, you are singing all the way home, and you have paid for a good portion of your product. But there is a lot of duds, and the Wizards of the Coast has been known to do this. It's a lottery ticket pack. It feels more and more lottery-ish every single day, more and more big swings, big hits, massive misses, and the gold foil box topper is something that's holding up a little bit less. I mean, if I was to give unsolicited speculation, I think the gold lands are going to be special. I think they're going to look cool. I think they're going to become iconic over time. That's why I'm willing to pick some up, just so I have them to play with before they get expensive, if they do. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think of the gold foils and the gold foil box topper in the comment section below. This is a fun conversation that I think it was going to spark a lot of controversy. You're either really for this gold treatment or you're very, very against it, I've noticed in the secondary market and comment section. Ugh. I digress. Aetherdrift, in my opinion, is pretty much acting as a Magic set we would expect, on release week, but it is a bit lower. These numbers are a bit lower than I would have expected. Part of that is me adjusting to the new, cheaper play booster box, the 2 decks in a Commander set, whatever it might be. But I think this set's got a lot of room for growth. If some of these cards, hold value, not even take off, but stay iconic, hold value, become coveted, and the collector booster box is a properly managed print run that we've come to expect from Wizards of the Coast, you can tell me a story where the collector booster box starts to look a little bit too cheap. We've seen this with other iconic collector booster boxes with big hits in them, and I'm not comparing it to Bloomburrow or Ixalan or even Wilds of Eldraine, but we have these boxes with similar stats, with similar ideas of big hitters, big misses, and iconic sets and iconic looking cards, and they've done really well over time on the secondary market. Now, the question is, and I still have it right here from the last time I shot in this area, oh, whoa, we're going to go on a ride there. Is this set more Outlaws of Thunder Junction, or is it more, Ixalan Bloomburrow? That's for you to decide. That's for the future to decide. I think it's probably going to lean a little bit somewhere smack dab in the middle. All right, thank you so much for hanging out. Like I said before, check all that stuff down below, all the buttons, and the like button is something I never show any love to. So if you could make up for my like button negligence and click that like button down below, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh, and we will see you around. Okay, goodbye.